You're scrolling through a sea of ultra-high-resolution monitors, trying to figure out which one will actually make your day-to-day work easier instead of just looking impressive on paper. The fear most of us feel is ending up with a gorgeous screen that looks great in the showroom but turns into a headache when you spend 8 hours in front of it, or that you'll spend a small fortune for a feature you'll never use. That's the exact dilemma I was wrestling with before I sat down with the Kuycon G27X SE. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last few weeks swapping the G27X SE into a mixed workflow that includes photo editing, video grading, and a fair amount of spreadsheet crunching, so I can tell you exactly where the monitor shines and where it leaves a little to be desired. First off, the most obvious thing about a 27-inch screen with a 5K resolution is the sheer amount of desktop real estate. When you set the display to its native 51202880 mode, you get roughly 4 times the pixel count of a standard 1080p monitor. In practice, that means you can have a full-size Photoshop canvas open, a secondary reference image, and a timeline all without the constant need to zoom in and out. I tested this by pulling a 24-megapixel RAW file into Lightroom and laying a 4K video clip next to it. The image retained fine detail, and the video preview stayed buttery smooth because the monitor is capable of 75 Hz at that resolution. That kind of multitasking power is what makes the G27X SE feel like a true productivity boost, not just a pretty picture. One of the big questions people ask about 5K panels is whether the extra pixels actually translate into better color work. Kuycon's claim of 99% sRGB and 98% DCI-P3 coverage is backed up by the Filamination OGS on-glass sensor, technology that reduces glare and improves color uniformity. When I calibrated the display with a handheld spectrophotometer, the delta-E values fell within the 2-point range for both gamuts, which is essentially what you'd expect from a professional-grade monitor in this price bracket. For anyone who edits photos for clients or grades footage that will be streamed on HDR-capable platforms, that color accuracy is the kind of hidden value you only notice when a client points out that the skin tones look just right. Power delivery is another practical angle. The G27X SE feeds up to 100W over a single USB-C cable, meaning you can power a laptop, charge peripherals, and send video all through one connector. I paired it with a recent Ultrabook that normally runs on a 65W charger, and the monitor handled everything without any throttling. If you're setting up a minimalist desk or want to avoid a tangle of cables, that single cable solution is a genuine timesaver. Now, let's talk about the downsides that only become clear after you live with the monitor for a few days. The first is the 75 Hz refresh rate. While it's more than enough for static work and even casual gaming, it won't satisfy a hardcore competitive gamer who craves 144 Hz or higher. The higher refresh rates you see on many 1440p or 4K panels simply aren't feasible at 5K without sacrificing resolution, so if your primary use case is fast-paced FPS titles, you'll feel limited. The second practical trade-off is the glossy surface. Kuycon markets the screen as glossy, and that does give the image a punchy contrast that looks great in low-light rooms. However, the same gloss reflects ambient light, which can be distracting if you work near a window or have bright overhead lighting. I found that positioning a simple desk lamp with a matte diffuser solved most of the glare, but it's a factor you have to consider before buying. If you're the type who never adjusts lighting and just wants a screen that works anywhere, a matte panel might be more forgiving. A third point that often slips through the spec sheet is the ergonomics. The stand on the G27X SE offers tilt, but no height adjustment, swivel, or pivot. I had to buy a separate Visa mount to get the perfect eye-level height, which is an extra cost and a bit of a hassle for those who don't already have a mounting solution. The monitor does include a 100,100mm universal mount pattern, so it's compatible with most third-party arms, but the out-of-the-box experience isn't completely turnkey. Who should reach for this monitor? If you're a creative professional photographers, graphic designers, video editors who needs a lot of screen real estate and color fidelity without breaking the bank, the G27X SE is a solid match. It also works well for data-heavy roles like financial analysts or engineers who benefit from seeing multiple spreadsheets or CAD windows side by side. The built-in eye care features, such as low blue light and flicker-free technology, add a layer of comfort for those long sessions, and the HDR support, while not a game-changing feature on its own, gives an extra boost when you're reviewing content that includes bright highlights. Who might want to skip it? Gamers who chase the highest refresh rates will feel shortchanged, as will anyone who prefers a